Hey everybody, today we're going to show you how to calibrate and adjust one of these nifty new Craftsman 10-inch sliding compound miter saws. I just picked up mine from Lowe's the other day and went through the process of calibrating and adjusting mine and thought I would share some of what I learned. To do this, you're going to need two tools. The first one is just one of these small trim squares. You want one that's only about 4.5 inches tall. I have a taller Swanson one, about twice as tall, but that is too big for what we're going to be doing today. You're going to need a small one, about 4.5 inches tall, so find yourself one of these. The second thing you're going to need is a 5mm Allen wrench. Ideally, you'll have one that is long and has a T-shaped handle. I didn't have one of those, but I was able to make this one work by adding a pair of pliers to it so I could reach in and get to where I needed to go. Okay, our first task is going to be to square the blade with the fence. And so first, make sure you're unplugged. Don't want anybody getting hurt here. Second, what we're going to do is make sure that our miter gauge is set to 0 degrees, and also the bevel gauge back here, the left and right, is set to 0 degrees. Once that's done, lower your blade and lock it into place. Now, with the blade down, take your square and measure it against the blade. If it is veering to the left or the right, what we're going to do is adjust the fence to the blade. And so to do that, we just unscrew the top of the fence and remove that piece, and then pull out the wrench that is provided with the saw. It's just actually inserted right here on the legs of the saw, and you can loosen these at the top and adjust the fence against your square, and it should be pretty self-explanatory. Just adjust the square and the blade so that they're at a right angle. So that's step one. Once you're done, obviously tighten these down, tighten them down equally, and then check it one more time against the blade to make sure it held, that things didn't move while you were tightening them down. Okay, the second thing we're going to do is check the bevel stop adjustment. If you're following along in the Craftsman manual that came with the saw, I got to say the instructions were pretty vague. I think they're truly awful, and so I'm going to try to simplify this for everybody. First step, as always, is unplug your saw. Second step is put your blade down, the pin lock in place, make sure your miter gauge is at 0, and also that the saw is at the bevel stop for 0 in the back, that it's stopped at 0. And we just want to check, is that blade aligned to the left or to the left or the right? And if there is a gap at the top or the bottom of the square, then we want to adjust that. When they're brand new, mine came in definitely out of alignment, and yours probably is too. So let's go ahead and fix it. All right, so we've moved around to the back, and what we're going to do first is loosen the saw and remove the lock from the bevel stop, or the bevel stop lock. Let the arm kind of flex down to the right, and then pull it back up and make it so that the automatic stop locks into place at 0 degrees, so that it's perpendicular according to the saw, even though we know it's not. The next step is going to be to get your hex wrench, and like I say, if you got a T-shaped one, that's the best kind, and hopefully it's really long. If not, something like this might work. But go in here. There's 2 hex nuts. One is right here, and one is down here. Loosen those up. Once those are loose, you should be able to move the saw a little bit, even though it's in the locked position. Those screws are holding it in place, and you can put it, your square, right up next to the blade, and you'll still see that there's a gap here. It might be a little hard from the camera angle, but there's a gap right there. Make sure the blade, or excuse me, the square is not touching any of the teeth of the blade, which can push it away from the edge, and also not touching the center of the blade where it could push the square away. Once you have it touching it flush against the blade, move move the arm until it is perfectly aligned with your square. Once you have that in place, go down behind the saw blade and tighten down the bevel lock. Now that you have the arm tightened down with the bevel lock, go back to the 2 screws in the back and secure them tightly. Okay, so now that I've tightened down those hex nuts, we're just going to check real quick again. Is it still aligned? Did anything move during the tightening process? No, it looks pretty good. Then let's check the back too. We'll loosen up the bevel stops, take out the lock, let the arm move a little bit and naturally come back into position. It pulled in right there at the end. And let's check the angle again. Is it setting itself correctly? And that looks perfect. Hey everybody, if this video saved you a little time and helps you make a few straighter cuts, the best way to thank me is to buy me a beer or to hit that subscribe button. Have a great day.